Welcome to the Cozy Little Library today with your Clean Reads Book Buddy. I read 32 books in January and February. And I'm going to be rating them and reviewing them in order of 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars that I love the most. Let's go. This is Sarah E. Ladd's latest, so it's called The Unconventional Lady because she is that. Ella has long dreamed of opening a school for girls that would meet the needs of the inquisitive, brilliant, unconventional young women just like her. Her mom realized that this phrenology idea, the shape of your head determining your personality, was a bunch of baloney.
Last of the baloney!
But she passed away before she could prove it, and so Ella has taken it on herself to prove that. Well, this guy comes in at this event. She doesn't trust him. She thinks he's up to something. There is a mystery in it. It was a very quirky story. It's very unique and different. It was okay. Frances Burney's Evelina. This is a classic that was written in the 1700s. A young woman who goes into society. She's been raised in the country. She's kind of adopted by a vicar. Then her grandmother comes out of nowhere, and she is a French woman. And the things that her grandmother does, there is this man he's a captain. He does a lot of very unthinkable things. It is just wild. Jane Austen was a subscriber to this author at the time. So I read this because it was supposed to be a satire, supposed to be funny. I didn't think it was funny.
Paddington, it's not funny.
I was just bored, to be honest. Mr. Eastwood's Match by Sally Britton. This is book number 1 in the Gentlemen of York series. He is always second best. She has no idea how to play her part. The main female character here, she and the younger brother have made a friendship. They're both very quirky people, and a lot of things are expected of them. The elder brother, though, takes notice of this woman. So as the season goes on, the pressure mounts on our female character to accept what the sensible match would be, and it's not where her heart is. So it's a very, very sweet story. Like her other ones, just slow and cozy, soothing. There were several typos in here, and I just thought I would mention that. Tales from the Odyssey by Mary Pope Osborne, and if that name is familiar, it's because she wrote the Magic Treehouse series. So the big classic, the Odyssey by Homer, long, graphic, ancient text, right? When I saw that she had this, I thought, well, maybe the kids' one will be less graphic.
Wrong, wrong, wrong.
The Courage of Sarah Noble. In 1707, young Sarah Noble and her father traveled through the wilderness. Keep up your courage, Sarah Noble, her mother said, but Sarah found that it was not always easy to feel brave inside. So her dad needs her to go along. She's really young, but she knows how to cook and everything. I really like this. I love the artwork in here. One family in particular that has a lot of prejudice against certain people, and just his response to that is just fantastic. She learns a lot, and I thought it was really sweet. The Earl's Hideaway, No Ladies Allowed by Esther Hatch. This is book number 2 in a Romance of Rank series. The first book was Manor for Sale, Baron Included, and it was a 5-star. I absolutely loved it. This one, again, is 3 stars. It was fun. It was cute. They used the word for illegitimate man. He does say that in here. I got a little bored in the center, but it was fun. So George Washington actually wrote his rules of civility and decent behavior. He wrote 110 rules that he thought that men should have. And then this is a journal that he kept as he went out for his first mission to the Ohio Territory, well before the Revolutionary era. Sarah E. Ladd's The Weaver's Daughter, and it was wintry and it was kind of dark, kind of the strife between two different types of tradespeople, and she's kind of caught in the middle. There was a murder in it. I was a little surprised. You don't get lots of details, and so it was interesting. The Pursuit of Happiness, how classical writers on virtue inspired the lives of the founders and defined America. It does get really, really deep in the weeds. If you are interested in ancient literature, how that influenced the forefathers, it is quite a dense read. It may be a little much for most people. 5 Smooth Stones, Hope's Revolutionary War Diary. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1776, Hope's story begins. In book 1 of her diary, Hope Penny Potter's life is torn apart by the start of the Revolutionary War. As neighbors turn against each other, Hope fears for her family's well-being. It's very short. It was sweet. Songs of Innocence by William Blake, who was in the 1700s. He was a poet. He was one of the Romantics. I had always been curious about his writing, so I did read that. As Jane Austen's Lady Susan. It was very, very interesting. Lady Susan, wow. She was one of those, that you love to hate her. She was really something, but it was very interesting. Jane Austen, so 4 stars. Transformed Tale is the name of this book. Tales and Treats with Tay was having her February. This is brand new. It is a series by different authors, and they're called Displaced Fairy Tales. This one is The Frog Prince. This one is Little Mermaid, and it's kind of a mishmash. This young man is dealing with the grief of just losing his father. His brother has disappeared, and these frogs are taking over. It's like an infestation. This was really cute. Felt like you were in the Little Mermaid story.
How many wonders can one cavern hold?
There is a teeny tiny bit of magic. It's very light. It is not violent, and it was short. It was not very long at all. A Life Once Dreamed by Rachel Fordham. A really fun plot, 1880s frontier town. A woman is going there to escape, but a little bit of her past does catch up with her. Love the characters. Lots of fun. Heart of the Glen by Jennifer Deibel. This is in Ireland, 1912. This is about a girl who shows up in this certain area to this castle, actually, and she's supposed to be a housemaid, but when she gets there, the man who was supposed to give her the job has just passed away, and she's like, what am I going to do? She's grappling with her faith, with this guilt from some things that have just happened in her family. This other young woman comes along, sees her, and is very kind and says, you can't stay out here. It's not safe. We've got some ruffians around doing some things. The weather's not great. Come on back to my little cottage. My brother and I are there. We don't have much, but we're just going to stick you in the barn for tonight, and then tomorrow we'll deal with him and tell him about it. Just the dynamics of the brother and sister. It's really cute because, they kind of fuss. The sister just has the best personality. She's so funny. The ruffians do show up. The brother and them do kind of get in a scuffle outside, and it really wasn't intense at all. There's a lot of faith. A lot of faith. The Cloverton Charade by Sarah E. Ladd. This is book number 3 in the Houses of Yorkshire series. I will show you the other 2 books in this series. We've got The Letter from Briarton Park, In the Shelter of Hollythorne House. The only connection is the place they happen in Yorkshire. This one is about a girl who, her father is a dealer in antiquities. Her father has passed away. The main male character, his family is also in the antiquities business. Their fathers used to work together, but something happened. They became enemies. So the 2 of them were no longer allowed to be around each other. And they happen to both end up at this house party out in the middle of nowhere in Yorkshire. For one thing that was so refreshing about this story, there is a lot of honesty. There's not all this silly animosity, hatred from the start that they have to work through. The audiobook is fantastic. There are 3 Felicity mystery books that I found. First comes A Traitor in Williamsburg. It says, Felicity is alarmed when mysterious false notices appear in Williamsburg, falsely accusing her friend Fiona's father of helping the British. Felicity's father is accused of being a traitor. This was intense. This was so intense. These two girls are trying to find the culprit that is clearly framing their other friend's dad. It was so good I couldn't quit reading it. It literally was. This one is Lady Margaret's Ghost. A shipment comes to their house and it has these things from some distant aunt that they didn't know about, and Felicity hears the story, the legend about her, and just some really weird things start happening. And so Felicity's like, well, I don't believe in ghosts, but what else would explain what's happening? And then the last one, Peril at King's Creek, where the horses are, where Penny, her horse, is, and things are happening to people's estates, and she's worried about Penny. Some horses have been stolen. I read The Watsons and Sanditon with Kelly, both very, very interesting. Of course, super short because they were unfinished. Jane Austen's familiar world building. In The Watsons, we see Emma Watson making some choices in Georgian England society. Very, very interesting. And in Sanditon, we have hilarious characters exploring the life of these people in an up and coming seaside town. I'm so glad I read them. I was so incredibly curious. As always, Austen just does characters like nobody else. The Great Disappearance by David Jeremiah. On the cover, it says 31 ways to be rapture ready. Very simply and step by step, biblical prophecy, end times, like the difference between the rapture and Christ's second coming. It really brought it all together for me. Very deep descriptions. It took a month to get through. Some of it was hard to read, the reality of things, but then again, some of it was so beautiful. Snowbound by Elizabeth Adams. This is book number 20 in the Secrets of Mary's Bookshop series. So our main female character is a widow. She's a little bit older. And in all of these books in this series, she has moved back to Cape Cod where she grew up and opened a mystery bookstore. She's obsessed with Agatha Christie. And so she has this bookstore, and you can read these out of order because in her personal life, not a whole lot is changing throughout. But I had read books 1 through 3 and then skipped to this one because when I saw that it was very wintry and it was supposed to be about something happening while a snowstorm comes to town, I definitely wanted to skip to this one, and it was fine. But in this one, Mary's sister decides to come to this place pictured here, which is the Chadwick Inn, and they are hosting a special weekend for guests where actors are going to come play out a historical murder mystery weekend. As you can imagine, some mystery happens during this whole mystery weekend, like an actual mystery. This to me is a true cozy mystery. The things that happen, there is peril, but it is very, very cozy, and the deaths that happen are done by the actors, and so nothing is real. So it's true cozy, nothing too unsettling. It was so much fun, and I was so invested in this story that I read this very, very quickly. I had to know. So after I loved Snowbound, this guidepost, I went back to where I was supposed to be on book number 4 in the Secrets of Mary's Bookshop. This one's called Writing on the Wall. Mary and a couple other people are with her, and they find a map. Her friend Henry thinks that this might have something to do with his family. There's a connection there. It was so good. I literally read this in one sitting. George Washington's Secret 6, The Spy Ring That Saved the American Revolution, really just goes through the trajectory of how the spy ring came about. And this guy, he did do the audiobook himself, which was fantastic. How do you discover the identity of a spy? Why is it called the Culper spy ring? Who are these people? We get a timeline of how the Culper spy ring started, who was in it, just going along. I loved how much it showed the letters with George Washington and like what he was privy to. I just got emotional, just so grateful for the sacrifice. Yeah, definitely 5 stars. Little House in the Big Woods. Love this book. It was just precious. I loved it. And I think about about what I've read in these books all the time. I think about them all the time. Seeds of Rebellion is book number 1 in the History Detective Club series. Rose is a middle schooler and her mom is a reenactor in modern-day Williamsburg. But Rose gets a hold of something that catapults her back to Williamsburg in 1774. She's solving mysteries, all without changing history. This series is incredible, and it won't be the last time you hear about this series from me. Hero and the Patriot, which is book number 2, The Heart of the Revolution series by Stephanie McRae. This was great. This was incredible. Book number 1 was good as well, but this one I found that it's a little bit shorter. The other one I felt like was a little bit too long. This one, you're just getting right on into the action, and it didn't end like I thought it was going to end. I like that. So very good. In Spotlight and Shadow by Rachel Scott McDaniel, this is a Christian fiction with a dual timeline that is a century apart. So I first heard about this, I believe, from Jeanette. I'm doing her yearly challenge and her bingo board, and she was suggesting this one for one of the prompts. And also, Bethany has spoken of Rachel Scott McDaniel's writing and how much she loves it, so I thought I would try it. Doors to the Past is the series that this is in, but they're just 12 standalone books that have that century in between the two plot lines, and they all have some kind of American landmark. But our main female character here, a lot of people have let her down, and she wants to be a violinist, but she's not confident in herself. She starts working as an intern at this theater in the wings of the stage, and she finds an old stage prop. And something tells her that this is not just some plastic prop. She starts trying to investigate what this necklace is really about, all this mystery going around. And the connection is that 100 years prior, we meet Sophie, who is working at the theater, trying to be an actress, and wants to, of course, see her name on the marquee. And she ends up being a little bit famous locally, but not because of her acting. She is suspected to be the notorious jewel thief. It was unputdownable. The Long Winter is the book in the series a little further along, but this one is when the terrible winter just goes on, and the Ingalls have to deal with being cut off from the railroad and having to make their supplies last. It is intense. It is harsh. And I'm endeared to these characters. I think about them all the time and what they went through. And I'm so thankful for what I have because of it. A Secret Correspondence by Casey Stockton about a French modiste that is in Regency era. She's gone through some things in her past with the French Revolution, and she actually, she's the only one that got out of that unscathed in her family, and she has moved to England, and she's trying to hide that is her past so that she can blend in. This was so good, and it started with a man finding a letter outside near the kissing gate is what it was called. And when he reads it, he shouldn't be reading it, but he does. And she talks about the loneliness and all this. He connects with her like that, and they start passing letters over a long period of time. I couldn't quit reading it. I absolutely could not stop reading it. And the mystery and how it all ended and how friends get involved, and oh my goodness, it's Regency era, but it is so good. It's not just your typical fluff piece. And you could read this without reading any of the other books, and I do recommend it. I have been having such a blessed time in my Bible study. I've decided to combine two different things, and it's going very well. I have a built-in Bible study in the beginning of my Bible. There are themed sections, and it goes very deep into each one. And I have also been doing a chronological study through the Bible for the first time. I have my sheet here that keeps me on course, and also I have the books of the Bible that I can color in as I finish each one, and this has been a whole lot of fun. Let's see how I did on the readathons and challenges, starting with Epistolary January of Anne's. I will list her co-host on the screen as well that helped her. The prompts were a lot of fun. We had love letters, epistolary romance, Lost Mail was a classic by an author no longer with us. Correspondence, letters between people. Airmail was foreign country. Journal was journal entries. And telegram was modern communication. So I used A Life Once Dreamed by Fordham. Lady Susan by Austen. I used Snowbound for our telegram prompt because there were a lot of text messages in that one. For correspondence, I used Brian Kilmeade's George's Secret Six. I read Casey Stockton's A Secret Correspondence, lots of letters between people. And then the journal prompt, I used George Washington's actual journal that he wrote. So next we have Alma's historical fiction readathon. January was a biblical or ancient era in romance, tales from the Odyssey as an ancient era. And then for February, the romance that I chose was An Unconventional Lady by Sarah E. Ladd. Next, we're moving on to Anne's 1776 Reading the Classics Challenge. January was supposed to be Stars and Stripes, a book with high star ratings. And then February was Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness, supposed to be a funny classic. So for our highly rated, I put Lady Susan by Jane Austen and Evelina by Frances Burney because it is a satire. Going to Once Upon a February Readathon by Taylor. I will list the lovely co-host that she had helping her. I'm going to put this up here because I have not put these book covers on yet. Quest That Has a Journey, Cloverton Charade by Sarah E. Ladd. Magical Creature Has an Animal. Felicity's mystery story called Peril at Kings Creek. Hidden Identity, a new to you author. Christiana Gregory, Five Smooth Stones. Then we've got Prince, your favorite genre. Christian fiction, Christian historical fiction. I do read a lot of historical fiction, even if it's not Christian. It has True Love's Kiss, Free Space. William Blake's Songs of Innocence. It is a classic. He was a romantic, and True Love's Kiss. Get it? So we're going to put him right here. Faithful Companion has a subtitle. Seeds of Rebellion, American Revolution, Williamsburg on the front of the book. Something Beautiful. We're going to go with David Jeremiah's The Great Disappearance because not only is the cover gorgeous, but the descriptions of when those of us who have trusted Christ, when we get to see him face to face, just that image, it was just absolutely beautiful, brought me to tears. Fairy Godmother, content creator Rec. We're going to go with Evelina Ann from In Search of Wonder from her reviews. She's also talked about it in her videos, but when I was trying to decide which Frances Burney book to choose, I was reading Ann's reviews on that, and that's where I got that idea from, was from Anne. And the last one, Slay the Dragon. Meant to read it last year. I wanted to start the Little House books last year. Didn't happen, and this was book number 1 in that series. That is happening this year for sure. We got all of them. For Jeanette's Christian Fiction Bingo, in January we needed a dual timeline book and a hidden gem with less than 1,000 ratings. So In Spotlight and Shadow and the Snowbound book. For February we needed a fairy tale retelling and Heart in the title. So we had Transformed Tale and Heart of the Glen. And the last one is Cheryl's Jurassic Park Reading Challenge. Printed out her list here. So January was T-Rex, a favorite, reread, or just one of your favorites. The Courage of Sarah Noble was what I chose because it was a reread. And then for February, Triceratops, part of a trilogy. Cloverton Charade by Sarah E. Ladd because it's book number 3 in that trilogy. I have been teasing y'all with mentions of my summer positive patriotism readathon. It is coming in June. Several of my friends are helping. You'll get all the details for sure in May, so save the date. Until next time.